Coming to you recorded
from our studio in Broomfield, Colorado.
We're Betty, Joe, and Roy.
And this is
Formula Lunch, the unofficial, unendorsed, and unauthorized fan show where we eat good food and talk about the most recent F1 race.
Today we are covering the Formula One Gulf Air Bahrain Grand Prix 2022.
And our lunch today is provided by General Charcuterie. And what an exciting season opener it was. A whole new breed of cars, and George Russell in a Mercedes-powered unit car for the first time ever in Sakir. Crazy. And the ever-exciting return of Nikita Magnussen.
That's not it.
Kevin Mazepin.
Nope.
Nico Hulkenberg.
Fine.
So with the regulations not working out for everyone, we saw McLaren qualify with an abysmal 13th and 18th place, which brings us up to our qualifying order.
Up in pole position today, we have the Monegasque, or as David Crofty would lead me to believe his name is pronounced, Charles Leclerc.
And in second place, we have Sid the Sloth-looking Max Emilian Verstappen.
That is his middle name.
And we will not let you forget.
What a shock! In third place, we have another Ferrari, Carlos Sainz.
Lining up alongside is the ill-fated Perez.
The most surprising feature of the day may be that for once, Mercedes wasn't sandbagging, with Lewis Hamilton coming up in 5th position.
Followed shortly behind in the Alfa Romano, his former teammate, Valtteri Bottas.
Proving that you can cut a man's salary in half and you'll still be on Lewis's tail. George Russell fresh into his multi-year deal at Mercedes, proving this really is a young man's game, and you too can spend your entire career following Lewis Hamilton.
Looking good, Alfa Romano driver, Valtteri Bottas. Finally seeing the return of Nico Hulkenberg behind the wheel of a Formula One call after the late replacement of Sebastian Vettel coming down with COVID, because if you know, these McLaren guys, Danny Rick. And in shocking news, the Honda Power Units really had a bad day, with 3 out of the 4 not making it to the end, with the first one being Pierre Gasly in turn 3, turning his car, sending his car to the fire realm as it burst into flames, again, at turn 3, better known as the Romain Grosjean Fire Department Training Course.
Followed shortly thereafter by Max Emilian Verstappen's, yes, that is his middle name, no, I will not let you forget, car suddenly lost power with only 3 laps left in the race from position 2, forcing him to retire.
Not only that, with Verstappen's, sudden loss of power, you see Perez go from 4th to the miraculous 3rd podium finish, only to be cut short on the final lap at on the first turn, where his engine decides to seize, letting Sir Lewis Hamilton pass him for 3rd place. The largest change to this year's regulations is undoubtedly the return of the ground effect vehicles.
They use Venturi tunnels located at the bottom of the floor to help them stick to the road's surface.
A practice ban in 1983 and returned almost 30 years later in an attempt to allow for closer following of the car behind and for better races.
This, however, somehow surprising the world's greatest motorsport engineers, has also led to the return of a phenomenon known as This happens particularly on long straights when the downforce being generated becomes too much and actually cuts off the airflow, bouncing the car back into the air.
This effect can be seen here on a small scale, where I'll be blowing on this piece of paper left here on my desk.
Speaking of the new regulations, we'd be remiss to not mention the
side pods, side pods, side pods. And there was a lot of talking points about it, because there was like the whole Mercedes and Red Bull first came out with their original side pod design, and then Mercedes got rid of theirs, and then Red Bull got rid of the bottom part and made just the top part, which is what Ferrari is using too. And then Alpine's blowing theirs off, and that's really about it.
Needless to say, a lot's happening with the side pods. Some wild variations in those side pods.
Breaking news! The return of the Prancing Pony is here!
Non-F1 fans were not shocked today to hear that Ferrari finished in a dominating 1-2.
Somebody should be checking their fuel lines.
You know, I'm starting to think if this Ferrari dominance continues,
Yeah, I really can't take it anymore.
people will get bored.
It is getting pretty boring.
People will get
Like,
bored.
I'm tired of seeing McLaren signs on the top podiums.
Sure, Ferrari hasn't had a 1-2 victory since Singapore 2019 with Sebastian Vettel ahead of Charles Leclerc.
But I can't stand seeing it anymore.
It's getting upsetting.
No,
It's
we
getting
here
upsetting.
at Ponscom Racing do not find bias.
We try not to find bias amongst teams, but sometimes.
It was a pretty fantastic race with Leclerc leading all 57 laps of the Bahrain GP, and I mean it was an impressive race by him. It was an impressive performance on Ferrari's part for the first outing of the season. I'd be excited to see what they have in the future.
I'm definitely excited to see what they have in the future.
And with his third win in his career, in his what can potentially be a very wonderful career for him, we have in the Ferrari, Chuck Leclerc.
Rounding off a very surprising Ferrari 1-2, we have Carlos Sainz in the second place.
And in third, we have Sir Lulu Hamilton.
George Russell, Mercedes newbie, rounding out the front two rows.
And in a surprising but yet just wonderful finish, we have Kevin Magnussen in sixth with the Haas.
Breaking news, Gunther Steiner seen dancing on a mountaintop while riding in a toy boat with glee. He said something about smashing his own doors. Coming up in sixth place, we have Alfa Romano driver Spaghetti Bosa.
And in seventh, a pretty decent finish by the Alpine of Esteban Ocon.
Yuki Tsunoda pulling up 8th place.
And ex-world champion Fernando Alonso finishing ninth.
Rounding out the top 10 is newcomer driver Zhao Guanyu for the Alfa Romano team.
And in another surprising finish, we have another Haas in 11th place of Mick Schumacher.
Lance Stroll outpacing his temporary teammate, bringing the Aston Martin up to position 12.
And in 13th, we have Alex Albon with his Red Bull helmet in the Williams. Like sands of an hourglass, McLaren falls into the proverbial darkest pits that any Formula One former top team in Formula One could possibly imagine to get into.
Williams could never. The McLarens of Daniel Ricciardo and Landeskog Norris sandwiched tight between both of the Williams. Basically a reverse grid order of 1992. Danny Rick, fresh off his recovery from a case of COVID-19, coming out in 14th position.
And with another surprising McLaren finish of Landeskog Chuck Norris finishing in 15th.
Nicholas Latifi also getting outpaced by his brand new Williams teammate, rounding out into 16th place.
And with a great comeback of Nico Hulkenberg, we see him finishing last of the running cars in 17th.
With Perez, Verstappen, and Pierre Gasly, the three Honda Power units that did not finish the race, that rounds out our final grid order for the Gulf Air Bahrain Grand Prix 2022.
And here at Ponscom Racing, we like to do something fun for everybody involved. And what is that, you may ask?
Well, it's the question of the day.
And what is that, you may ask?
Who is your personal hero?
That's a good question.
Let us know in the comments below.
And with that, we've decided to keep this first episode short, sweet, and just a little rough.
Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Ponscum Racing.
And listen to the Pod Scum podcast at any place podcasts are found. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And join us for lunch Mondays following Grand Prix weekends here at Ponscum Presents
Formula Lunch.
Coming to you recorded here at our studio in Broomfield, Colorado.
For Betty, Joe, and Roy,
Walter Cronkite. boring, honestly. I don't know.
I don't know.
Cut that.
Cut that.